So my name is Kevin. I'm the founder and CEO of Kai Analytics. And today I want to share with everyone one of my kind of passion and kind of key, the core work of what I do is qualitative analysis. And we were a bronze sponsor at the CARE conference this past 2 weeks ago. So I'll begin. So what we'll cover today is really the basic qualitative analysis pipeline. This is a pipeline that really drives a lot of qualitative analysis, regardless of the type of data. And then we will look at qualitative analysis using Excel, Python, and Unigrams. The code that I will share, you can download after the session. And really, if you're just starting with Python, it's already pre-written. And so I'll just show you how to run it and how to upload your own data. And then we'll end with some discussions about, how to write good open-ended questions for your surveys. Just a little bit of who we are. So we're actually, I'm very proud to say that we're a highly rated market research company that specializes in natural language processing technology. We build a lot of custom solutions for our clients, as well as, market research and survey research. This is our team. There's myself, two designers, and we have an analyst, Colin, who's also on the call, and Mac, who's oversees our marketing. And so if there's any questions, feel free to type it in chat, and Mac will be reviewing them, or you can raise your hand if you'd like to speak as well. So as I mentioned, we also build a lot of custom analysis for institutions of all sizes, kind of large systems or kind of small liberal arts colleges. This will be kind of custom models that effectively categorizes your student feedback, your faculty feedback, and even alumni kind of into actionable themes. We also help conduct sentiment analysis, which helps take comments and kind of plot them against, polarity between 0, very unhappy, to 100, very happy. And we also segment those results to help you better identify and cross-compare with key demographics on campus. And we've also been, over the past 2 years, we've also been turning our expertise into a self-service qualitative analytics tool called Unigrams. And later in the presentation, I'll show everyone how it works and how you can start using it right now. So why qualitative research is important? I think kind of in this, era of dashboards and visualization, a lot of the surveys institutions conduct and that I'm familiar with is, my experience with is that they're great for benchmarking and kind of tracking changes. But in terms of having actionable feedback, it's really in the qualitative, the open-ended responses. That's where you get the results. And here's an example where we worked with a liberal arts college in Washington who had concerns about kind of growing concerns about the campus climate on their campus. And they wanted to better understand, how students, faculty, and staff were feeling about diversity, equity, bias, and discrimination on campus. So there was over 1,800 comments, and this is a breakdown of the key issues. So you can see here, overall for the whole institution, almost 40% of folks were really concerned about kind of differing or competing political perspectives. This was followed by, racial and gender. And it's important to note that when you visualize data this way with your topics, they don't sum up to 100 because comments often touch on more than one themes or topics. In terms of kind of breaking it down to different segments, we looked at it, student and faculty. I didn't include staff here just because I just wanted to show this as an example. But you can see where things differ. Students expressed more concerns about kind of racial issues than faculty. They're 38% and 22% here. And faculty were more concerned about gender equality than any of the other groups. And this, if I recall, was mostly related to pay equality. And so based on our analysis and the report, these were kind of the key outcomes. We were able to provide the institution. We were able to kind of show that the institution not only read all the comments, or internalized all the comments, but they're able to kind of show the school, the students, and the community that they've created a 3-year strategic plan around it. So kind of demonstrating their commitment. Some other more serious issues that did come up were Title IX incidents in the comments. So they were able to kind of create a focus group to investigate those further. And then most importantly, they're able to kind of secure campus-wide buy-in on new initiatives. The benefit of analyzing these comments, especially with a kind of a third party like us, is that we can kind of step away from it and not have any kind of personal bias or attachment to any department or any groups on campus. And so now to kind of the core of the presentation today is to kind of go over the NLP, natural language processing pipeline. I showed this earlier. So all qualitative analysis, I'd say most, if not all, follow the same structure. You have your survey data or maybe online reviews or other kind of qualitative data. You have to pre-process it. And there are certain steps that you have to do to clean it and get it ready for a machine to understand. And then there's visualization. And once you visualize it, there's other things you can do, such as topic modeling, segmentation, and sentiment analysis. The data set we're going to be working with, and I'll share with you today, is a Coursera data set. And you can see here, the data set is quite simple. Just all the course IDs, the course name, and the student comment. And there is actually a score from 1 to 5, a satisfaction score. And then the language field is just something we created just because Coursera is such an international platform. There's people write reviews in multiple languages. So in summary, there's 140,000 reviews, all from Coursera. And you can download this from Kaggle. This is a site you can download this training data. It's all free. It's about 80 megabytes. So it's just an open source data. It's good for presentation and practice. Out of those reviews, there's about 1,800 courses, unique courses, and 71 languages were represented. And today we'll just be working with all the English comments, which represents 84% of the data. So there's about 3 things in terms of pre-processing that happens again and again. These are key concepts such as tokenization, which is the process of breaking down the words into tokens, or grams, or really like a unit of measurement. And so if you think of a sentence like this, Kevin and Mac are presenting right now, we're breaking it down into individual components. Like Kevin and Mac present together. If you're, this can be any level of detail. This could be a sentence in a paragraph. It could be a word in a sentence, or even a letter in a string of, characters. And why you might break down things at the sentence level is very different than why you might break things down at the word level, and even at the letter level. In terms of kind of biotech field, a lot of that is done at the letter field because they're looking at DNA and genetic information. The other important thing is kind of removing redundant words, because you just want to minimize the noise and reduce the dimension of your data set. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the sentence has 7 words, really only 4 of them. We just need to know 4 of them to kind of understand what the context is. Kevin, Mac present together. Another important thing is to have understand the part of speech. So with natural language processing, there's enough models now that they can very accurately tag what each of these words are. So person, verb, and adverb. And that's important because, again, we want to reduce the dimension so that we're not looking, the machine would treat presenting and present as 2 different words. And so knowing the part of speech, we can then convert the verb into the dictionary form, and everything will be present. It's also good for plurals. So if you're dealing with plural nouns like student or students, it will become student. And so yes, and what we have in the end are n-grams. So this is Kevin, Mac present together. These are the tokens, and n-grams as well. There can be unigrams. Unigrams is just counting each token by itself. Kevin, Mac together, present together, and that's really typically presented in a word cloud. But there's also bigrams where it looks at Kevin, Mac present together, and so forth. Yeah, so we will now, I'll switch over now to kind of show you a Python script of how you can quickly visualize this data following these key concepts. So at the end of the presentation, probably by the end of the week or early next week, I'll share a document with links on how to access these. But this is a platform called Google Colab. It is a web-based kind of coding tool that uses Python. And it's completely free and it's completely open source. And so all you need is a Google account. And this is a workshop that was focused solely on Python programming. So I won't go into the nitty gritty of writing code, but I'll just show you how you can run it. So once you go to this URL, you can then connect to the server, and everything here is written like a notebook. That you can just follow it step by step. And hopefully the documentation is good for you to follow. But you go into each line of code here, and you simply press the play button, and it was here it says print hello everyone, and you'll get hello everyone. So that's as simple as that. You just ran a Python code. But so as you follow through, anything with the play button you can run. So there's a lot of scripts here, but we're simply just loading the Excel file here. So it shows you a preview of what the data set looks like and what the comments are. So I'm very excited. I like all these courses. And then we can just look at, for this subset, there's about 1,300 comments. And so when we look at kind of typically, when you visualize word clouds, there's a lot of tools now. You can use Excel or you can use an online generator, but a word cloud from that looks like this. And word clouds are great because they're very easy to understand, but they're actually very difficult to interpret. It just tells you what the biggest words are, but without a lot of context. So, here we have professor, excited, course, often, complete. And so that is why we need to go through some pre-processing to clean this up. So here, these steps, I won't go into the detail, but we load the relevant open source packages that you can use, and we go through some pre-processing. Here you can see tokenization taking place. We've broken down the sentences into each word, but there are still some redundant words that we don't need, like that, I have been. So we can also run the script to remove that. So these are kind of the words that will automatically remove, but you can customize it. Sometimes it's good to change this kind of data set to include maybe your institutional abbreviations, or if you're asking satisfaction about cafeteria, you don't really need the word cafeteria to show up again. So it's good to kind of edit your stop words. So here's an example of what that looks like. So writing research paper is one of the most useful. After tokenization, we break it down into its words, and then we remove the stop words. So, is gone, of is gone, the is gone, but we still have the semantic meaning. And then lemmatization is the way where we kind of conjugate all verbs into their normal form. And this is what I mean by needing to know the parts of speech. Because these models now, we can, they can understand, they can recognize plurals. So dogs become dogs, kittens, kitten, students, students, even kind of slang, profs, prof, professors, professor. But without parts of speech, it doesn't recognize that teaching is a verb, and perhaps the core verb, the dictionary, should be teach. And so this is an example where we, explicitly tell that teaching is a verb, teaches is a verb, and taught is a verb. But we really don't need to do that anymore. The models are there to recognize it. But so if we run this again, it knows that teaching should be turned into teach, teaches, teach, taught, teach. And this cleans up your data a lot. Even if you do a word cloud now, instead of having teaching, teaches, and taught all show up, you're going to have now teach only and a larger word. So this is parts of speech tagging. And so I wanted to show you the end result in this code is that we can then visualize a network cloud. And a network cloud gives a lot more context. It's like a word cloud, but with the different words associated with it. So we now know most of the reviews is talking about course. And what about the course? It's a good course. It's an excellent course, amazing course, a great course. So very positive. And maybe they also improved in their writing skill, and they learned about different types of business writing, academic writing, and the course was easy to understand. And they're very grateful for the course, and they highly recommend it. So this is I find a better way to represent word clouds. And even yet another, if you're required to show a word cloud, it's better to even just show word clouds with words together. So great course, business writing, peer review, writing skills. So this is an open source package which we prepared, and so I'll share this link with everyone at the end, and you can run it through. If you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to me, and I can walk you through. And so that's the basic level of qualitative data, the pre-processing and the visualization. But now we get into a higher level of qualitative analysis that uses more machine learning techniques known as topic modeling. So what is topic modeling? So I have a question. Yes, network models can show the weight of words and connections. How many students said what, and I will show everyone that in a couple more slides. But definitely, you can adjust the weight of these words, and you can also rank them in terms of frequency, and you can control the order of how these words appear. And so bigger nodes show how frequent the word is, and stronger connections show the strength of their relationship to other words. And so topic modeling, also known as word embeddings, is that it's basically because machines are really good at numbers, and so that's the type of input they prefer. And obviously words are text, so we have to find a way to convert them into numbers. So what word embedding does is it takes all the words and it gives it a numeric value, and it plots them into a matrix and looks at the correlation or the relationship of these words. The theory is that basically birds of a feather flocks together, and so that when you have a large data set, a very large, maybe like all of the newspaper articles in the world and all of Wikipedia, and you kind of put that into a giant matrix and you look at the relationship of the words. What you'll find is that words that should appear together often appear together. Running and ran, flying and flew. Or if you just look at geography, analyzing words and their relationship, you will definitely find Canberra appear more closely with Australia than maybe Washington D.C. and United States. So that's basically how word embedding works, looking at the correlation and relationship of a large data set or large corpus of words. And words with similar meaning also tend to appear closer together than those that are different. So that's kind of the underlying principle. But I like to think of it like a speed dating analogy. And so topic modeling uses a statistical method known as hidden topics probability distribution. And it's like, for me, like blind speed dating. So you basically have to specify the number of topics, and then there are tricks to it, but You can start with as little as 2 topics or 2 themes and build your way up. And what it does is over the course of any number of training iterations, maybe 100, 200, it randomly assigns words together. And then it asks, hey, do these words belong together? Or is there another word that better, matches this word? And so if you think about like speed dating, where there's many rounds where, 2 people have to meet together, they have a short amount of time to kind of understand if they're a good match. It begins for me to start to make sense what topic modeling is. So here we have a pairing of 2 people. The first person is talking about, what writing a research paper is like. These are just the bubbles are actual reviews from Coursera. Writing research paper is one of the most useful courses for all professionals. But the other person is saying, courses was highly relevant for my work. I love textbook. And then this person says, well, the material is too dense. The textbook was okay, but it took me ages to read the articles. And so this first iteration, the machine might think, okay, maybe professionals and material and course go together. Maybe work and articles go together. Love and textbook maybe goes together. But maybe there's a better match. So after many iterations, we start to realize, topic 1, useful course, matches with course and relevant. Professionals might match with the word work. Materials, textbook, and articles must be more related than the others. And then hence, after many iterations, it starts to look at all the comments, and any comments with course, relevant, and useful are grouped together. Materials, textbooks, and articles are grouped together, and anything with work and professional is grouped together. So we have a good match. But as I mentioned, this statistical process is on a distribution. And so sometimes the word, for example, jerk might fall into topic 1 or topic 2. And this is very common if you think about it. When you look at the student course feedback or student satisfaction feedback, they often don't talk about just one thing. They talk about, if a student satisfaction survey, they might say, oh, we want more parking spot, and the food is terrible, or the food is great. Those are 2 distinct topics. And so this is where topic modeling can help you quickly understand the kind of the general sense of each comment and what the major topics or themes are. It's like for me going into a big party with a lot of people and kind of already knowing who the different groups are, as opposed to have to talk to everybody to understand their interest and their hobbies. So I will show you kind of topic modeling in Excel. I think most people who are starting with qualitative research are already doing this. It's very intuitive, so there's no wow factor here, but I'll show you. And so this is the Coursera data set. These are the reviews, and the traditional way of doing this is to just read each comment, maybe by yourself or divvying it up with your team, and then reading it and go, okay, I think this is this is an interesting course. This is a 1. This is a great course. This is we'll just tag it as 1, 1, 1. Excellent, good course so far. Great course, and then introduction. But this is a way you only understand the topic once you start reading more and more of it, and then you start coding it. So, okay, maybe this is a more introduction, or you might find yourself changing it after you find another topic. Good professor. So it's an iterative process, and it can be quite time consuming, but it's usually very, very accurate because you've manually read through it. And right now there's 200 comments here of just English courses. But when you get to 300, 400 or more, like a couple thousands, this can take a long time. But once you tag it through, you actually have a good data set. So this is an example of a fully tagged data set. So you have your topics on the top and your different scores on the bottom, 1, 2. And it doesn't have to be 1 and 0. You can have, if it talks about two things at once, You can give it, a higher score, give it a weight. But the important thing is to have your data in this format if you're doing it in Excel, in kind of, what do you call it, a wide form for now, because it's easy to see the topics. But then we want to kind of visualize the frequency and how common each of these topic is. In Excel, what we can do is then use a query editor here, and then pivot the table. And so some of you who work with survey data might already be familiar with this process, but this is your original data set that you finished tagging. And so what you can do is unpivot the table. So you highlight the columns that are all the topics, and then you unpivot it. So now it's the same thing. The comments are here, but they're repeated, because the first comment, I'm very excited that I've been successful. I have successfully completed my first specialization, touched on different topics here. Learned a lot. And okay, and then this one is 000. So what you did here earlier when you tagged it, it shows whether or not this comment has certain topics. And so we can then just filter out only the ones that have been tagged with 1 or greater. And so now you can see the same comment is a lot cleaned up, and there'll only be duplicate values if each comment touches on more than one topic. I'm trying to find an example here. These are shorter comments, so we might not find that many, but the important thing is after you pivot the table, you filter it for only the ones with a positive value. And then we don't need that column anymore, sorry. So once that's done, in Excel, you can close and load your data, and it'll look like this. Now your data is in long form. You have all your topics that have been tagged with each of your comments. And then with this, you can create a pivot table, and you'll get all your topics here. And then you can get a count of your, you can get a count of all the topics. And if you want to visualize it as a percentage, you can right click it and show values as a percentage of grand total. And then now you can actually create a graph that shows how frequent each of these topics are. Like that. So this is how you could do it in Excel. It is a bit of a more manual process, but if you tag it properly, pivot the table, you can quickly visualize the results and have a frequency of each of these things. And then you can have the data kind of this way, or you can change it. I prefer having the data kind of more vertical because it saves space and it's easier to read. So that's the Excel format. And then so I'll switch back and kind of go over how we can do it in Unigrams. So right now, if you go to unigrams.com, yeah, you can try the free previewer. There's no obligation. We don't even need your credit card or any information, so you can just let's go. And if you don't have a data set, you can download the sample Coursera one, and it's just right here. The only thing you'll need to do is specify what country you want to run the data, because we do take data sovereignty and privacy seriously. And so we want to make sure you're running your data in the right country. So in the US, you can click next. Here, you'll get a preview to kind of just see everything looks okay, the right columns have been loaded. And then you just specify which column has the comments. In this case, it's the comments column. But now this will look different for everyone's data set, but so you just specify which one has the actual raw comments, and then you click process. And shouldn't take more than about 10 seconds. And so this is the same network graph, but now, earlier a question was posed about, is there a way to show how important some of these words are? And so we know course is a really important word, And we know that good course is more important than maybe enjoy the course a lot. And great course too. So the thickness of the line and the thickness of each node shows you the weight. And we can see, what else. They learned a lot. That's another topic that you can probably kind of in your head think about going into the comments. And then what areas did they improve, or what skills did they advance? Academic writing, what else? There's something about peer review, and this might be a really good professor or a very popular professor. And in our actual tool, we can actually filter out automatically any mentions of any names, any emails or any personal information, just to protect privacy, especially when you're dealing with course evaluation. I find that it's more important to focus on the course content and how to improve it, as opposed to sometimes disgruntled students criticizing or attacking faculty, and then lecture and video content. So kind of having this network graph kind of already lets you go into this Excel sheet with some ideas of what to expect, as opposed to kind of going in there blind and having to read the comments and then finally understanding what the topics are. At all. So once you proceed, oops, sorry. You can create an account, and then we can set you up. We are offering free analysis for up to 300 rows. But for anyone attending this conference or the session, just let me know, and we can process 2,000 comments for you. You can just register your information. And so I won't do the whole step here, but this is what you'll get once you log in. This is an example where we just ran 10 topics, but what you can do is you can specify 5 topics, 10, 15, 20 topics, depending on how granular you'd like. And so here we have the topic model. Each of these circles represent a different theme, from 1 to 10. And on the left is how what each of these themes look like. And then on the bottom here is all the comments. So if we look at number 1, we have the basic word count, great course. And we know that topic 1 seems to be talking about, how great the course is and how great the teachers are. And then we can evaluate that by looking at the bottom. And you can see, of all the comments here, it focuses on great teacher, great course, wonderful course. This is the full comment, and then this is the parse sentence. And then this is all topic 1. Now, the only thing right now is the topics are shown in numeric value. The machine knows words with similar meaning. They know how to put those together, but it's still up to you as the analyst who has domain knowledge of your institution to then, rename topic 1 as something, that is meaningful to you and your team. So topic 1 for me, I would probably say, good course, great teachers. And then there's a kind of a confidence score to show, how confident the machine thinks that they've tagged this correctly. So we can look at another one here, topic 2 maybe. So learned a lot. They learned a lot in this course. They learned a lot of new things. This is something they enjoyed. So here we have learned a lot. I saw a comment come in, but I haven't been able to catch it, but I'll get to it for sure. But thank you. So here is everything that about, they have a positive learning experience. Maybe topic 9, you can see the good course, good introduction, a good introduction, and maybe explain the concept, very well, because it's easy to understand. Great basic concept, explained in detail or practical. So if we look at topic 9 here, they find the information useful, explain detail, basic concept, good introduction, and so forth. And then, there's this one might be about issues. They don't have enough time, or they're spending a lot of time on the lecture, on the notes, on the quizzes, on the assignments. What else? And there's something to do with video content. So topic 6. So yeah, there's audio issues, video issues, quiz issues, difficult to read and the number of videos. So that kind of helps narrow down the issue there. Find video, slow pace, maybe include some watching speed. Yeah. And so this tool helps you quickly kind of tag all your comments into different topics. And some comments fit into more than one topic. That's why some of these may overlap. Things that are closer together have closer meaning than something further apart. So, number 1 was talking about good courses, but then number 6 was talking about video content. And so in terms of doing kind of visualizing the results, right now, because we're still in early access, what you can do is export it into Excel. And so I'll open this up. So this is what you'll get. You'll get the course, the comments, the sentences that has already been parsed. And this includes removing names and sensitive information and the different topics. So very similar. If you're familiar with Excel, you can then create a pivot table and put the topic ID here and the frequency here. We just change this to count. Show values as summarize values as count, or even percentage. So show values as percentage. Oops. Sorry, give me a second. And then you can create a graph. Eventually, we will have this built in to the platform, but we're in early access now, so just bear with us, and we appreciate your feedback when you're trying this out. But as we discussed, topic 1 seems to be about great course. Topic 2 is they learn about. Topic 9 is a good introduction. And video content. I think I spelled content wrong. So as you can see, this is a chart you can relatively easily kind of quickly generate, and then you can export that. And then in terms of segmenting the results, that's easy to do as well. If you have other demographic data, let's say right now this is kind of course ID. I don't have it in this example, but if you have gender or course level, you can then kind of filter it to different segments and then copy and paste those graphs. I think the other one here, if I remember, has it. So in this topic, yes. And so in this other one, we included the type of course it is. So we can then look at how does that change with creative writing courses? How does that change with academic writing courses? So forth. So that's how you can then also quickly segment the results in Excel and soon in Unigrams as well. So that's kind of the platform. So I'll switch back to the presentation. And so I just wanted to end with kind of good practice that I found in open-ended questions. I find it's really important to be very specific. It will make your life a lot easier in that, if instead of asking in your survey prompt, please tell us what did you like or dislike about today's event, ask it in 2 questions. What did you like about this event, or what didn't you like? Because then you just don't get the 2 types of positive and negative jumbled. But better yet, you maybe have a question before that, like an NPS or a Likert scale. And then that way you can still have one question, but then you can then use the Likert scale or the NPS score to filter your response towards more positive and more negative. Of course, with sentiment analysis, we can also solve that by scoring every sentence in each comment, a positive and negative score, and then aggregating that up. And then the other thing is to make questions optional. This will minimize response fatigue, but more importantly, it will just avoid junk responses. NA, no comment, all good, no problem. And I, with the institutions I've worked with, and in my past too, working at two different institutions, I try my best to kind of limit the number of open-ended questions to just three. Usually it's positive, negative, and one kind of more open-ended question that your institution or your department might have. And then just be mindful of who is answering the survey. You have to maybe consider different cultures, different people from different parts of the world. And this is important generally for the whole survey. Certain questions about gender or sexual preference can be very sensitive and even dangerous to people in different countries. And so you just have to be aware of that. And with that, yes, thank you so much. If you have any questions, you can always schedule a 30-minute consultation with me and my team at booking.kaianalytics.com. If you want to try out the previewer, you can go to unigrams.com. And our goal is to fully launch the tool in December or early January. But for now, you can definitely try the free previewer. And if you want us to process some data, we're happy to evaluate that as well for you.